Welcome to Forest of Ash, Lesson 19, Earth Mysteries. You're probably looking at the title of this lesson and wondering what in the world it is all about. Well, the term Earth Mysteries is actually an umbrella term for a wide variety of subjects which include ley lines, astroarchaeology, Earth zodiacs, and spiritual geometry. There is so much to each of these subjects, way too much to put in one lesson, but what I hope to do is pique your interest in finding out more. Ley lines. As witches, we know that the earth is alive. Just think back to the energy lesson in the Forest of Oak. Below the earth's surface, deep within her body, there is a web of energy that courses beneath that which we can see. If you were to visualize this energy, it would look like a latticework of veins. And where these energy lines cross each other, it creates a concentration of energy that has come to be regarded as sacred places that hold great power. At these points, you will often find standing stones, burial mounds, wells and springs, earthworks, castles, or churches. Many cultures have known about these hidden lines of energy. They are called fairy paths to the Irish, dragon lines by the Chinese, spirit lines to the Peruvians, and dream paths to the Aborigines. In the East, there is a style of yoga called Laya Yoga. This path of yoga uses a technique to raise Kundalini energy up through the chakras. Kundalini energy is seen as a serpent coiled at the base of the spine, and when raised, it causes spiritual enlightenment. I kind of like the idea that people would evoke the earth energies at the sacred sites placed along ley lines, and that each sacred site is a chakra on the landscape. In fact, many have done research into earth chakras, and there is a common thought that these energy vortexes exist across the globe, linked by an infinity ley line, which the Aborigines know as the rainbow serpent. Of course, nobody seems to agree on the actual sites of the earth chakras, but all agree that there is one major chakra on each continent. As in the body, there are dozens of chakras, but below are the 7 most agreed upon. The first chakra is at Mount Shasta in California. The second chakra, Lake Titicaca in South America. The third chakra, Uluru Kata in Australia. The fourth chakra, Glastonbury in England. Fifth chakra, the Great Pyramid, Mount of Olives. Sixth chakra, Kui Malaksia in Iran. And the seventh chakra, Mount Kailas in Tibet. So, what happens if this flow of energy along the ley is disrupted by something like building a motorway? Well, when the energy is tampered with and misdirected, it becomes what is known as a black ley or a black stream. The type of energy that can manifest from this is that of the dark goddess that causes death and destruction. Being around this type of energy can cause disease and illness. Can we do anything about it? Yes. Dowsers are able to cure a black ley with a technique from ancient China known as earth acupuncture. The dowser will identify the root of the ley by using a pendulum or dowsing rods. Once this is determined, they take angle irons or stakes that have been wrapped in copper, and they drive these into the ley at regular intervals, and in doing so, the polarity is reversed. Astroarchaeology. When our ancestors were hunter-gatherers, they used the earth's energy to guide them to be in the right places for hunting, camping, and worshipping. They moved around the land with the seasons. But as the traditions of the hunter-gatherer gave way to agriculture and farming, our ancestors started to settle, and in doing so became more connected to places of power and started to invest in building sacred sites. They made sure that their architecture was perfectly aligned to be in harmony with the earth's energy by using ley lines and sacred geometry to harness sacred power. We see that most ancient sites are deliberately aligned to astronomical events. in particular the sunrise or sunset at summer and winter solstices. This is because the energy levels fluctuate according to the seasons. It culminates once or twice a year, depending on the placement of the site with the sun and the moon or the stars. When a power place is aligned with an equinox or solstice, sunrise or sunset, the ley line is able to increase the energy and light from the sun or star to the sacred site and thereby boosting the energy, creating a powerful and magical moment for visitors. It also makes it an ideal time for sacred ritual where the increase in energy can be utilized for healing, connection to other realms, fertility, etc. How these precise alignments were attained by our ancestors is a mystery, and we can only speculate how they were able to maneuver and work with such large building materials. What we can say is there are many examples of such alignments. Stonehenge is aligned to the sunrise at the summer solstice, Newgrange, the sunrise at the winter solstice. The Temple of Solomon is aligned with the equinox sunrise, and the King's Chamber in the Big Pyramid of Giza is aligned with Orion. Earth zodiacs. Earth zodiacs are sometimes known as terrestrial or landscape zodiacs. They are a gigantic map of the stars, formed by features in the landscape such as streams, earthworks, roads, and fields. These features can be natural, or sometimes they are man-made, giving the impression that our ancestors were purposely creating this map. Perhaps the most famous of the Earth zodiacs is the Temple of Stars in Glastonbury, Somerset, which was brought to light by Catherine Maltwood in 1927. Whilst drawing up an itinerary for a Grail Quest event, she was studying a manuscript that was allegedly written in Glastonbury Abbey, telling the tales of the Grail Knights and their exploits with dragons and giants, etc. She found that the stories she was reading related to actual places in the Vale of Avalon. While plotting these places on a map, it suddenly became obvious that the River Carey looked remarkably like the underside of a lion. Further investigation revealed the shape of a giant contoured by Dundon and Lollover Hills. After discussing her findings with an astrologer friend, it was suggested that these features, in the position they were in, might be Leo and Gemini from the zodiac. Further investigation was made, and all 12 signs were rediscovered and brought back to life by the knowledge of their existence. Maltwood believed that the zodiac was created by Sumerian astrologers and that the word Somerset comes from the term seat of the summers. Some believe that it was created by the Knight Templar, as there are also numerous connections to their order in and around Glastonbury. The Knights Templar are supposedly keepers of the Grail, and some believe that the zodiac is the Grail of legend. After the discovery in Glastonbury, more zodiacs have been discovered across the UK, in Kingston upon Thames in Surrey, which also has connections to the Knights Templar, Nuthampstead in Hertfordshire, Pendle in Lancashire, and Bodmin in North Cornwall, to name but a few. Each Earth zodiac consists of the 12 signs of the zodiac flowing in the correct order in a circle, exactly how they would revolve in the night sky. Some of the images are not as we would traditionally associate with the zodiac, but the images seem consistent throughout the zodiacs across the UK. The images you will see in the landscape are Sagittarius, a centaur, Capricorn, goat, but usually with only one horn, giving it the appearance of a unicorn. Aquarius, eagle or phoenix. Pisces, whale or two fish. Aries, hornless ram. Some say this is actually a lamb, but that appears in the seal of the Knights Templar. Taurus, a bull. Gemini, twins or a giant. Cancer, ship. Leo, lion. Virgo, virgin goddess. Libra, dove. Scorpio, scorpion. Some of these zodiacs have a 13th figure. that is situated outside the circle and usually appears in the shape of a dog. Some have thought of this as a guard dog, kind of Cerberus figure, guarding the gates of Hades. Hill figures. Hill figures are huge depictions of that have been carved into steep hillsides, revealing the earth underneath. They usually appear as white figures against the landscape, as they are cut into chalkland. There is an abundance of these figures in the south of England, including Uffington White Horse, Cerne Abbas Giant, and the Long Man of Wilmington. There are also hill figures scattered around the world, like the Atacama Giant in Chile, South America, and not forgetting the famous images found in the Nazca lines in Peru. What is their purpose? Well, that's the thing about Earth mysteries. We don't know. We can only speculate. My opinion is that the figures were used to bring the old gods down to Earth and thereby transferring the deity's power into the land and locality into which it was carved. Sacred geometry. Sacred or spiritual geometry is the use of shapes, measurements, and numbers in the creation of physical structures with the aim of symbolically reflect the spiritual and divine realm from which we manifested. Some of these structures include churches, megaliths, monuments, mosques, and temples. Sacred geometry is also found in the creation of altars, groves, sacred spaces, springs, tabernacles, temonai, village greens, and wells. Sacred geometry is also used in transient art such as crop circles, mandalas, medicine wheels, sand painting, and visualization. As a science, sacred geometry developed a set of basic shapes based upon patterns found in nature. The circle. Perhaps the easiest of these shapes to be used was the circle. Perhaps the earliest of these shapes to be used was the circle. This shape can be found in the creation of stone circles and round houses. It represents the roundness of the divine feminine and also the sun and the moon. The square. Considered to be the opposite of the circle and therefore representing the material world. The Greeks used the square as a symbol for the king. Any temple built for a king was based on a square. The square also represents the 4 points of the compass. The pentagram, representing the 4 elements with the addition of spirit. Alchemists also believed it represented the human body with its arms and legs outstretched. The hexagram represents duality, for it is 2 interlocking triangles. It symbolizes the twin polarities of the universe, light and dark, good and evil, male and female. The Vesica Piscis. This symbol is created by linking 2 circles together, bringing the outside edge of each circle into the midway point of the other, to create an almond-like shape in the centre. This symbol can be seen on the lid of the well in the Chalice Wells garden. The Vesica Piscis was a symbol of the mother goddess until it was adopted by Christianity, as it appears to be an abstract fish. The triangle, representing the mind, body, and spirit. Upright, the triangle represents the element of fire and the masculine. Pointing downwards, it represents the element of water and the feminine. Sacred numbers used in geometry are 5, 7, and 9. 5, as we read above, represents the 5 elements and also the 5 senses of the human body. 7 represents the 7 classical planets, days of the week, colours of the rainbow, notes on a musical scale, and the major chakras of the body. The 7-pointed star is a symbol of Ishtar from the Babylonian pantheon. Babylonians built pyramid star temples known as ziggurats, and these were built with 7 tiers, each one representing one of the planets. 9 is associated with the moon and its 9 phases. Anyone who does any research on sacred geometry and ancient architecture will find that it isn't long before you are faced with something called the golden ratio. Trying to find out exactly what that is can literally give you a headache. So here it is, hopefully simplified. If you read or watch The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, you may already be familiar with something called the Fibonacci sequence. For those that aren't, the Fibonacci sequence is generated by adding the previous two numbers in the string together to form the next, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55. If you divide any number on the Fibonacci sequence by the one preceding it, for example, 55 by 34 or 21 by 13, the answer you get is always close to 1.61803. This is known as the golden ratio. One of the most philosophical and significant activities encompassed within sacred geometry is the golden mean spiral, derived by using the golden ratio. Examples of the golden mean spiral used in nature are found in the shell of the nautilus, brackets over a pine cone, and the seeds of a sunflower, the path a fly takes, and even the start of the yellow brick road in the film The Wizard of Oz. The Great Pyramid at Giza is a good example of using the golden ratio in architecture, as the height of this pyramid is a pi ratio, i.e. IG, the golden mean ratio, to its base. It is a more accurate measurement than is found in modern buildings today. Dragonline meditation recording can be found here. Homework. 1. Do some research on ley lines in an area near to you and report your findings. If it is possible, take a trip there and see if you can feel the energy of the ley. 2. Research an ancient monument or building. This can be anywhere in the world. What evidence of sacred geometry can you find? Report on your research. 3. Find a natural object that uses the Fibonacci sequence. 4. Imagine yourself as an ancient person and design your own hill figure. Where would you put it and why? What image would you use and why? 5. Using your horoscope sign, work with the animal associated with it. Does it represent you and your personality? 6. Practice the meditation and report your findings. 7. Make your own labyrinth and use it for meditation. It could be marked out with stones in your garden, or draw one on a piece of paper and use the image. Take a photograph and report your experience. Homework for the lesson should be emailed to your mentor, Ness or Heather, at the usual email address.